Welcome back to my shop. My name's Guy, and this is the second part of a two-part series I'm doing on building this, my new router table cabinet. As you can see, it's done. Last time I built the stand, I installed the cabinet that goes around the stand, I put the dust collection in and the electricals. This time I'm going to install the top, I'm going to install the lift in the router, I'm going to install the fence on the router table, I'm also going to make and install the drawers and the door and do all the organization for it. So there's a lot of work to do. Let's get to it. I'm getting ready to install the full extension drawer slides into the cabinet. Now I know the drawers aren't done yet, but that's okay. I want to be able to get into the cabinet right now while it's still pretty open and I'm able to access a lot of areas. So these are the 16-inch ones, these are the 10-inch ones. I've separated the part that attaches to the drawer to the parts that attach to the actual sides of the cabinet. These are filler strips that go on the outside of the cabinet. The way those extrusions are on the legs, I've got to be able to put a filler strip in here to bump out these pieces a little bit so they're even with the edge of that. Now on the plans, it shows you exactly how high each one of these need to be to the bottom. That's where this comes in. Installing full extension drawer slides is one of the easiest things in the world if your cavity is square, and I mentioned this in the previous video. So the highest drawer here is 20 and 7/16 of an inch, and that's the length of this. And I'm going to use this to install the first set into the cabinet. I'm using the board as a template to get the filler board to a specific height. Then I pre-drill and screw it in. So I've taken two scrap pieces that were cut from the same pieces that the filler was, so they're the same thickness, put some double-sided tape on them, and stuck them to this board temporarily for now. Went ahead and put the third screw in to hold this rail in place, and it's nice and square to the bottom. Now I have to put the slider on the other side. Now I've got this piece cut down to the next height. I'm just going to pop this spacer back on and repeat the process for the rest of the drawers. I've got all the drawer slides in, and this actually went really quick. This only took me about maybe 45 minutes total. Now that I've got this together, I can move on to the next step. So I got the top on it. Right now it's being held with screws in two opposing corners. I've got the dust collection hooked up to the downdraft cabinet. This was a little tricky. I compressed the hose pretty much, not as much as I could, but I compressed it quite a bit so it shrunk a little bit. And then I cut it till it was about 6 inches from this edge right here. Then I took this shelf out, put it on, attached the hose, and then put the shelf back in. Putting the shelf back in was a little tricky. I had to raise the cabinet, or raise the top up a little bit and get that in there. But now that that's in place and clamped, I've got plenty of clearance underneath for my drawers. I'm going to screw this shelf down with just a couple screws to hold it in, and then I'm going to attach the power cord to my magnetic switch. So this is what's left of the 1/2-inch plywood. All this is going to be used for the drawer parts. I'm really glad I spent the extra time to mark out what each one of these pieces are going to be. It's going to make it a lot easier to break it down. I'm going to cut out all the drawer sides, fronts, and backs. I'm not going to cut the drawer fronts quite yet. I'm going to leave those as long as I can for right now. But I need to start breaking this down. Here's all the drawer parts cut out. I checked them against the cut list and also against the plan, and we're good to go making drawers. Well, I'm finally ready to start using my new router table. I've got a dust collection hose hooked up to the port in the back. I've got dust collection hose hooked up to the fence. And what I'm going to start doing first is routing a groove in the bottom of all the drawer sides and backs, and that'll accept the 1/4-inch panel that'll go in there. So I've got a 1/4-inch slot cutting bit set up my router. I've got a feather board to hold it flat against the fence. I've got the router bit raised up the correct height. I just need to turn it on and start routing. Well, the sides of all the drawers are going to receive a rabbet on each end. It's a 1/2 inch wide and a 1/4 inch deep, and that's to accept the front and backs of the drawers themselves. Let me show you how I have the router table set up to make these cuts. Well, I have a 1/2 inch straight cutting bit set up in my router, and it's a 1/4 inch high, and the depth of cut on this is just enough so the front is flush in that rabbet. I've also got my miter gauge set up, and I'm using my fence as a sacrificial fence to prevent some blowout there. And I just need to run these pieces. Well, all 6 drawers are glued up. I'm just going to let these sit in the clamps overnight. Well, the drawers are all dry now, and I'm just getting ready to install the other half of the extensions to the drawer sides. And for this, I'm going to go 5/8 of an inch up off the bottom. All right, that one's done. Let's go put it in the cabinet. So this just goes in here, put this on the slides, push it in, there we go. So what's real important is that this front does not go past this side. It should be pretty close, but it shouldn't go past, and that's perfect. Well, all the drawers are installed now, and I've got a ton of storage here. I really hope I'll be able to fill all this up. I know 3 of the drawers, what they're going to be used for. The other 3, well, we'll just have to see. So all the drawer faces are cut, and they're pretty much just sitting in there right now. They're sitting on shims. All the spacing is pretty good. It's not exact, it's not perfect. This isn't fine furniture, but it's really, really close. All the measurements in the plans are pretty close to what I have here. They may be a 32nd or a 16th of an inch different, but then again, it's really, really close to the plans. I've gone ahead and cut the door panel, and it's sitting in place right now. Everything looks real good. I'm just going to go ahead and put a coat of paint on these drawer faces in the door. Well, all the drawer fronts are in. I'm going to attach the drawer handles to it, and then I'm going to start to work on the door. Behind this door, of course, is the router itself. This is the INCRA Clean Sweep Downdraft Dust Collection Cabinet. And the only time I really need to get in here is when I need to change the router speed. I can just lower this door and easily gain access to the switch to speed up or slow down the router if I need to, depending on the bit size. Well, this is the top drawer of the router table, and this houses the things that I use most often when I'm using the router table. The wrenches for the collet, the wrench for the split fence, the wrench for the router lift, some other little miscellaneous accessories that I use up here. Then of course all my Magnalock Clean Sweep ring inserts that go into the router lift. Down here is where I keep all my router bits. Finally, I can just go and grab one. This is so nice. These are all my 1/4 inch bits. These are all my 1/2 inch bits. I've still got room for a couple more in here. If I run out of room here, that's okay. I've got more drawers that right now are empty, so I'm good. Down here I've got some more INCRA accessories. I don't use these that often, but when I do, it's nice to have them handy. And then I have an empty drawer. On this side, both these drawers are empty right now. I'll find something to put in there, believe me. Well, I had a lot of fun building this project. It came out really, really well. I'm very happy with it. The dust collection, the organization, especially the organization, is huge for me. If you'd like to download a set of plans for this, and also a Sketchup file, I've left a link for that in the description down below. And thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.